Hey everybody, this is ancientorigins.net. One of my favorite websites. A story just came out and I wanted to share. Ever since I started talking about the 18th dynasty of Egypt, I've seen a lot of stories come out on the 18th dynasty, and this is another one I wanted to share. It says, Egypt remembers ancient accounts of the Great Exodus. And I know a lot of people say, well, the Bible isn't real. And I say, well, yes and no. The stories aren't nonfiction, but they are based on, or loosely based on, stories that actually happened in the past, and especially in ancient Egypt. And I think I will just read this story. But first, I think the Bible has many different intentions, many different authors. Some stories are actual ancient history, and that can be backed up by ancient text and archaeology. Some are just loosely based on stories that happened. Some are very much just 100% allegorical. Some are just fearful nonsense, and they are all thrown in the one book for one intended purpose. So that's my view on the Bible. But anyway, Egypt remembers ancient accounts of the Great Exodus. It says the biblical story of the Israelites' descent in Exodus speaks about important events that took place in Egypt, so we should expect to find records of these events in Egyptian sources. The 7 years of famine, the death of firstborn, so on and so on. But we do not find even one contemporary inscription from the relevant period that records any of these events. It says, in spite of the silence, the name of Israel has been found inscribed on one pharaonic stela, and that dated to 1219 BC, a couple hundred years after the 18th dynasty of Egypt, and what I believe is the Exodus that was used for the story of the Exodus in the Bible. It says, this complete silence of Egyptian officials was later broken by Egyptian historians. I think I read that wrong. Let me start all over. It says, this complete silence of official Egyptian records was later broken by Egyptian historians, who appear to have known many details about Moses and his Exodus. While the contemporary pharaonic authorities seem to have deliberately suppressed the mention of Moses and his followers in their records, popular traditions retain the story of the man who Egyptians regarded as a divine being for more than 10 centuries before it was recorded by Egyptian priests. So there is a strong myth behind Moses, and they actually thought he was a divine being, and that is actually part of the story why I believe Thutmose IV, the true Moses, has his face on the Sphinx. But anyway, it says, Manetho, the 3rd century BC Egyptian priest and historian who recorded the history of Egypt into Greek to be placed in the Library of Alexandria, included the story of Moses in his Egyptica. According to Manetho, Moses was an Egyptian and not a Hebrew who lived at the time of Amenhotep III and his son Akhenaten. And that is the precise time that Thutmose lived, because he is Amenhotep III's father. It says, it was indicated that the Israelites' exodus took place in the reign of a king whose name was Ramses. So that is just one generation later. It says, papyrus from the 5th century AD based on Manetho's Egyptia, and that is where he got the date from. But anyway, I'm going to leave links to this below. I found this story very fascinating. The Manetho, I think that's how you pronounce his name. If I'm mispronouncing that, somebody let me know. I'm very good with text, but I'm terrible with pronunciation. But anyway, I found this story very interesting. Manetho, he is like the earliest Egyptian who actually recorded events like news, and he dates the time of Moses to the time of Thutmose IV. The person who I said is the real Moses. And I will just take you out of this video in case some of you have not seen it. I will bring Thutmose IV back to life. Have a nice day.